Good afternoon and welcome to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for a doubleheader of Co-op Superstore's Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship action. We have two quarterfinals on the Irish Examiner live stream broadcast this afternoon. First up is the meeting of the champions, Blackrock. They face Douglas, the action getting underway at 2 o'clock. Then at 4 p.m, Patrick Mulcahy is your commentator for the clash of Immakilly and Glen Rovers. So we will have lots and lots to discuss before the action gets underway. Before that, let's hear from the two camps in the opening game. On Friday, I spoke with the Douglas manager, Mark O'Callaghan. But first up is the Blackrock boss, that's Fergal Ryan.
I suppose, Fergal, we'll start not at this weekend, but we're going to go back a couple of weekends to the opening game of this championship campaign.
Yeah.
Was it a case of being caught cold? Was it a case of a bit of dirty petrol in the system? Was it a case of, being the county champions and open for an ambush?
I don't think it's that. Look, we were playing Erin's Own, who were semi-finalists last year, and they are always economical with regards to what they get out of their players, in the sense that they understand each other quite well, and they always put in a very good shift. And yeah, there might have been a little bit of complacency, there might have been a little bit of whatever you may call it, but certainly I wouldn't think we were ambushed, because Erin's Own are quite a good side, to be fair. So. But again, I suppose after winning the county, Erin's Own probably said we have to raise our game. And after winning the county, I believe teams need to step on and go a little bit, get a little bit better from the point of view as teams will be looking to knock you off your perch, for want of a better word. And it was disappointing. We certainly didn't play like we can, but again, that was down to the fact that Erin's Own probably, had a game plan, and they were hungrier for it and deserved their win on the night.
Okay, well, we saw last year in the championship teams who lost their opening game subsequently failed to get out of the group. So what was the mindset change after that night?
Well, I suppose we needed to bring the fight, number one. I think we have a good solid base of hurlers on our team, but unfortunately, being a good hurler doesn't automatically give you the right to win games. You got to want it, and the game against Charleville, I think the lads stepped up a bit from the Erin's Own game, and again in the Bars game stepped up another bit. And what we're hoping for is, with the management set up down here, is that they step up again against Douglas, because we'll need that step up against Douglas.
Okay, but like in terms of, we'll say, that Bars game and all the different permutations and everything that were going around, is it hard just to focus on the task at hand?
Well, it was quite straightforward for us, because we had to win. That was the only one that would have got us through to the next round, is beating the Bears. So that was quite easy from the point of view of focus. Now, it was easier said than done. The Bears, very much a very dangerous team in coming, and maybe a little bit of inexperience might have led to us getting over them. But certainly we bought a better game than we did against Charleville, I think. And sometimes it's a nice place to be, that you're building, not quite where we should have been against Erin's Own, better against Charleville, better against the Bears. And again, hopefully that continues on into this weekend's game.
Okay. Have you changed a lot, do you think, since this time last year, in terms of A, how you manage, and B, in terms of personnel?
Not really. We've changed slightly training, but I mean, what worked last year, you'd kind of say you hang on to, and some of the stuff that we might have got feedback on, either from the players or individually as a management team, when we sat down to discuss this year looking back at last year. There's a couple of little tweaks there, but the personnel is very much the same. We've the same group of guys involved. We've Steve Casey, S&C. We've Barry Corkery doing some performance coaching with us. Same physio, same doctor, same crop of players really. But again, some of the lads that were fighting for their places. I suppose you have that little bit of competition there, which is always good. And hopefully we'll see that come out again.
But I look in match programs now, Fergal, and you see the backroom teams. It's comparable to something at county level. Does your job become easier or harder, kind of the farther into it you go?
No, I mean, look, ours isn't huge. I think everyone has a physio and a doctor, for championship days. Some teams mightn't work with a performance coach. I think it's good to get a different voice in.
So what exactly does a performance coach do?
I think he just gets them to focus with regards to their own performance individually and collectively, how that comes together. Is very much getting them thinking in a certain way. And, if they're having any issues from the point of view of on the pitch, that he can help with sorting them by giving them some simple measures to work with, either in game or in training or, outside of it when in their prep before games, what way their thought process flows and stuff. Look, you can get very deep into this. It's not like we have someone down every week. We use it a couple of times, I suppose really before championship games or in between championship games, just to keep the focus there. The lads find Barry very good and I find him very good. It's hard to quantify anything you do with regards to, I suppose the psyche or team performance and that. But look, if we get 0.5% out of it, that's 0.5% that we didn't have. So it's always worth, throwing that net out there to see how much you can bring in by those little tweaks.
Okay, finally then, your opponents, Douglas, 3 from 3, a team you met and beat at this stage of the championship last year.
Yeah, look, there's no doubting the talent that Douglas has. It was a very close game last year. I don't know, was it 3 or 4 points in the end that we got over Douglas by, but it was right in the balance till the end. It's going to be similar this time. We're going to have to raise our game from where we were against the Bars for sure. Douglas had the potential to really hurt you, and we need to manage that. So it'll be a big performance needed, certainly from all the team really, but certainly from defending back, because as I say, they have some really potent threats with Shane Kingston and Cadigan and Turnbull, and they're probably just the marquee names, but they're well balanced around the pitch. We're going to have to bring a better game than we did against the Bars, and hopefully that'll get us through.
Mark, delighted to be having the conversation with you before a county quarter-final. 3 from 3. You must be a very happy man at this stage.
Yeah, you have to be happy with 3 wins. Like it was our goal at the start of it, to go into the group, get your 3 wins and progress to the quarter-final. But those 3 wins won't come for much now, like unless you go on from here. But you're into the real championship now, the knockout stuff. Like, so it's a different ball game.
You said after the last game that you were obviously very happy with what you achieved, but there were things to work on. What have been those things?
I suppose it goes without saying is the goals for one. We've no problem putting over the points, but we'd like to see a couple of goals to go with it. The other one, I think we've started all 3 games very well, and let teams back into it. So that's another side that we want to progress is the consistency of the play, I suppose, not to drop at any point and to keep it going.
How difficult is it to achieve that, though?
Well, I suppose in every game, the opposition, they're always going to have their purple patch. But I suppose for us, the disappointing was we had built up nice leads, and to have them dwindle down to a couple of points was the problem for us. So it's all about keeping the scoreboard ticking over, really, for us, even when the other team has the purple patch, that you take your opportunities. We found that our wide counts were in certain parts of the game were mounting up, just a bit of indecision. So there's areas there to develop for us.
Okay, talk to me about Douglas, the club at the moment. The footballers, of course, last weekend as well, 3 from 3. Is there a visible feel-good factor down there at the moment?
there'd have to be, really. It goes without saying. Like, everyone's happy with the winning, and I suppose the confidence then that it brings with it. Like, it was great now to get the footballers back in with us this week, and you can see they were riding high after a great win for them last week against Nemo. Like, it's always nice to beat your neighbours, even better to knock them out. So, like, it's a great feeling for them now coming in, and that it brings it into us as well. The lads thrive off that, like, so it's great.
In terms of that debate, though, about the footballers coming back into the hurlers, because we were talking about it on the programme the day of the hurling, and as well too the day of the Nemo game last week, there isn't the same crossover though as has been the case in previous years.
No, I suppose looking at the Bishopstown game, we only had 2 starters in Brian Hartnett and Nathan Walsh. But if you look at the full panel, there's probably about 8 or 9 of the lads there as a crossover. But going back to 10 years ago, you could have had double that and more. So I mean, we still have huge numbers in Douglas, but lads have tended to pick one or the other. So I suppose it's benefiting both sides at the moment.
Yeah, I was about to say, it probably makes your life that bit easier, though.
It does a small bit. It does a small bit. All right, now, like, whereas we've gained, we've also lost. That where fellas have chose the football over the hurling. But as I say, look, I won't have any complaints at the moment. Like, it is going well the way it is.
No, you mentioned Nathan Walsh there, absolutely fantastic in that game against Nemo. He was in at full back. He came off with a bit of an injury. Is he okay for the weekend? And indeed, what is the status of injuries and knocks in general with you?
Yeah, well, outside of Nathan, we've a full bill of health. He is carrying a knock. We're hoping he'll be okay. The signs are good at the moment. So we just keep our fingers crossed on that one.
Okay, now you're facing into the county champions Blackrock, a team you have history with. All of, what was it, 12 months ago at the same stage of the championship. Again, us here in the media, we love the scripts of, revenge, etc., and all of that. Does it really come into your mindset?
Absolutely not. No, the revenge point. I put a line through that straight away. I thought my hands up. I thought we were beaten by a better team 12 months ago. I think no doubt about it. They were worthy county champions in my eyes afterwards. There were certain points of the game, all right, we didn't help ourselves, and there are things we look back on, but that's to develop us. It's not to get revenge over Blackrock. Look, you've 6 games to win this championship. You have to beat every team that's put in front of you. This game is Blackrock, and that's all we're looking at. We're not looking at any revenge scenarios on 12 months ago, no.
And do you think, Mark, that you've learned a lot from 12 months ago in terms of the new system, for example, and how you approach games?
Yeah, definitely. I did feel by that 4th game last year, I do think the legs caught up with us. I do think the Blackrock seemed that bit fresher. So we have learned that this year about, I suppose, first it was developing our 16 to 20, 21, that kind of side of it, and getting fellas off at critical times of games, giving them a rest. The other side of it then was the run up into the games and what we do with the lads, to make sure that they're at peak form going in there. So yeah, there was definitely a good bit to learn. Good bit to learn as well from the loss of the game, just for the game itself, and what we need to develop as well this year. We've developed certain areas. Still a bit to go now, don't get me wrong. We're not the finished article at all, but we feel we have come on a small bit from last year.
Welcome back to Páirc Uí Chaoimh. My thanks to Mark and Fergal for taking the time to speak to me last week ahead of this afternoon's Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinal, the first of a doubleheader in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this afternoon. We'll have Enniskillen and Glen Rovers going head-to-head at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now, you're watching the Irish Examiner live stream coverage of this afternoon's game, brought to you in association with the Co-op Superstores. Delighted to have 2 legends here alongside me, Ger Cunningham and Seanie McGrath, after taking a break from their jazz excursions to be here with us this afternoon. Ger, great to see you. I haven't been speaking to you in ages. Kind of a strange day weather-wise here for us this afternoon. We've had showers, we've had sunshine, we're in shade at the moment.
Yeah, it's great to be here qualifying time, county qualifying. What a place to get, you see just the whole ambience here, like in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. to say, the weather's good. The weather, like, you might get the odd shower. It's not that crazy. The pitch is in excellent condition, so great to be here. Quite soon for both teams today.
Great to see as well too. Bring across the restrictions being lifted. Great to see some fans here at long.
No, 100%. It's great to see it. I was here Friday night for the Middleton Aaron Zone game, and it was the far side was closed. Everyone was down on this side, so great to see it back, and great to see both sides, people on both sides, been able to come to the games again. So great to have the restrictions lifted.
Okay, the teams out on the field going through their warm-ups at the moment. We'll bring up the Blackrock team first of all to take a look at. We are still waiting on team news if there's any changes on that, but looking at the county champions, a few changes, Shawnee, from last year's county final.
Yeah, and I felt actually that they kind of took a while to get going in this year's championship column, and I was a little bit surprised in the last game. I thought it was going to be a much closer contest, and I actually tipped the Bars to win it. I was surprised that it was such a convincing win for Blackrock, but they definitely got their groove back, and I suppose despite all the changes maybe or the difference to last year's selection in some areas in the field, it was the trump cards again, the main players from last year that really came up trumps the last day, and I expect much the same today. Look, obviously Alan Connolly's a huge prospect inside in Cork. Obviously Jordan, the lads are looking at him, and he really got his form back the last. He was a huge threat, and when I suppose Shane made that mistake, he used his long hand and his long hurley to intercept and score, so his form was really, really back. And Robbie Cotter's had a great inter-county underage season, this season just gone, and he continued that into form the last day as well, getting 2 or 3 really sharp points. So despite the changes, I think just in the last couple of weeks it looks like they got their groove back. We played them yesterday in an intermediate relegation game. I was on the line. We were 4 points up with 3 minutes to go, and they beat us by a point. So Blackrock are riding on a bit of a crest of the wave, and I think that might continue again today.
Just as we were talking there on the PA, no changes on the Blackrock team. What you see in front of you is what you're getting this afternoon.
Yeah, just probably, but as you say, numbers really don't matter, Colm, too much anymore. You wouldn't expect Alan Connolly, is named at 11, playing out at the centre forward. They'll rotate around. Obviously, DC is I believe not fit to start, so that decision was obviously makes it easier for them. And as Shawnee said, that's their kind of 15 players that was there last year with them. They're in different numbers, in different positions. Maybe midfield. They've moved Daniel Meany from midfield into the forward line. Brought John Sullivan up, but he didn't play against the Bars in that position. He moved inside. Those guys will move all over the place. Like the two O'Keefes, named at 14, 15, will probably play out in the half forward line. So you have the 15 that they have, and be interesting to see if DC is able to come on with his injury.
I was just about to say, I remember doing 1 or 2 games with you last year, and DC got them a couple of sticky situations a few times last year, and he was the difference.
But DC was huge for them last year in the games. I remember talking about it last year. People were questioning as to why he wasn't starting on the games, because he was playing so well. For whatever reason, Blackrock decided to hold him off, and I know they had a trump card in having him to come on. And I remember the games he came on here. He got sidelines, he got goals against UCC, got a score there from a sideline puck, and the same in the final. Had a huge impact. I know he is struggling with a shoulder injury that he got in the last game against the Bars. So he'd be a loss to them if he wasn't available. I'd see him talk there. So whether he'd be able to come on, but he's certainly a huge trump card for them. Like if the game gets tight, they'll love to bring him on, and he's a handful. He's a big, strong, rangy young fella with plenty of hurling, and he's a big part of Blackrock, so they will need him today maybe.
Okay, we'll bring up the Douglas team now. 2 late changes from the graphic on screen there in front of you. Number 19, that's Mark Howell. He is in instead of number 4, Nathan Walsh, who of course sustained an injury which forced him off of Douglas footballers' historic win over Nemo Rangers last Sunday. And number 24, Shane Donegan, is in for number 15, Diarmuid O'Mahony. Shawnee, Douglas on a bit of a crest of the wave. I mentioned the footballers last week, and the fact that they're coming into this game 3 from 3.
Yeah, we obviously had them in the opening game, and they made short work of the Glen, really. I suppose the Glen only got 110 on the night, and they got 24 or 25 points. We're probably another 11 wides on top of it. They're probably the one team that has brought this sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, a hybrid type game, that sort of mix of football and hurling. Every time the ball is delivered into the line, there's always a fella on the shoulder picking up a pass. Alan Cadigan's movement is incredible, likes Brian Turnbull. Actually, Cadigan's scoring returns have probably gone down a little bit in the club championships this year, but that doesn't mean his performances levels have gone down, because his movement is incredible. I think that's much down to Shane Brick, I suppose, who's done an incredible job with them. And on the night that Glen played them, they just had no answer to their movement. Fellas like Brian Hartnett, Joe was slagging me earlier that I don't know anything about football, but I do know that Brian Hartnett is an exceptional football player and kind of plays a similar type of hurling game. He's a brilliant guy to kind of cut out space, and aerially he's incredibly strong. So, as I said, that sort of hybrid game that they've brought in, it's very hard to counteract it. And if you're not ready and tuned in, if you go too traditional, you might be able to, as I said, counteract it. So it'll be intriguing today to see now how Blackrock battle against that. Because today Douglas are probably one of the most impressive teams in the championship.
We were talking in the football last week, Ger, about the fact that lads are now deciding maybe dual isn't the way to go. I'm going to concentrate on the hurling, I'm going to concentrate on the football. Obviously we have a few crossovers, as we mentioned, Brian Hartnett. Are you seeing the positives of that with this Douglas hurling team this season?
Yeah, it's like again, like the same as last year. They got to the quarter final last year, so they're in the same position as they got last year. It probably definitely helps where they don't have the high numbers of guys playing dual. You look at especially the main players that they have, the two Cadigans, Brian Hartnett, Shane Kingston, all really very good footballers, just to name a few. So definitely from the point of view, being able to concentrate on hurling definitely is it, because the way the system is, the way the season is panning out now, going Sunday on Sunday, transferring from football to hurling, it's very difficult, and I think they're reaping the benefits from it now. So, but again, I suppose having done well in the group stage again, they probably got the short straw in getting the Rockies in the quarter final. Just one point on Sean, as we mentioned here about Alan Cadigan. Definitely this year his scoring has done, but he's definitely playing centre forward is where his positioning is. So it's an interesting call to put him out there and try to create space for Shane Kingston's side. Just looking at the stats so far, Cullum, Shane Kingston has scored over 50% of their scores in the 3 championship matches so far. So I think it comes down to how he plays and how he does today, and how the Rockies deal with him, both from frees and from play, because he's crucial to Douglas.
Okay, so in terms of the Blackrock game plan to negate that threat, where does the responsibility lie?
Well, I think it lies as a kind of a collective group. The Rockies are quite traditional, in that they won't, they like to keep their zonal system, that their full back line stays in their half back line the same. So I would imagine they'll be hoping that whoever plays centre back, be it John Cashin or Cathal Cormac, they'll have to mark Alan Cadigan, but they will be trying to curtail the supply of ball going into Shane. I'd imagine Douglas will play with one or even two inside. One of the corner forwards, maybe, as I say, Alan Cadigan's name there, he'll come out and Shane will be inside. So they're just trying to create space to hit the ball into space for Shane to get on the ball. Blackrock will be playing zone and trying to curtail the space. Okay,
we mentioned I think last week or 2 weeks ago with Mark the kind of the dirty petrol that possibly chugged Blackrock in that opening game. Do you think they've got it out of the system?
Yeah, I mean, the last day, even in the first half, I think the last day against the Bars, it was tit for tat for a while, but it was just, they looked like a team that when they got into their groove, as you said, that dirty petrol was kind of eked out of the exhaust, then they really started to open up, and in the second half it was very obvious from early doors that there was only going to be one winner. But again, as I said earlier, when the key players in any team, Colin, are delivering, it gets the other fellas going, and the likes of Connolly and Robbie Cotter scoring freely. Shane O'Keefe is a huge player for them, and again, just going back to George's point there on the curtailing piece, if the likes of Shane O'Keefe aerially can start dominating, and Michael O'Halloran as well, and putting pressure on Killian O'Donovan and Conor Kingston, that could be one area that they might get some rewards as well. But yeah, I think so. As I said earlier, I think Blackrock were back in their groove, and I would just tip them slightly just to get over the line today by a point or two.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I go with Shawnee that as well. I think the Rockies, the last day, against the Bars day, I think it was the second half, once we got severely punished for a couple of mistakes that were made, and again we never looked like threatening to beat them after that. They're county champions, they won 6 out of 6 last year. As you said, they started slowly, and now they seem to be getting back into their groove. They're a very solid outfit, they're a very solid club team. But they know today there's a major challenge. Like certainly Douglas are a team on the way up, as Shawnee said. They've a very good system that's hard to counteract it. They play a good game of it, and they've been developing over the last number of years. And there was 5 points in it last year. Whether it be the same or not, but I still again fancy Blackrock.
Okay, our 2 captains, that was Mark Harrington and Michael O'Halloran, have had their chat, meeting with match referee Cathal McAllister, and we're falling into place here. First, as I said, of 2 live championship games on the Irish Examiner live stream on this bank holiday Sunday afternoon. 4 o'clock, Patrick Mulcahy is on the microphone for the clash of Glen Rovers and Immakilly. But for now, for the moment, it's Douglas and Blackrock getting us underway in the opening game this afternoon here of the Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final double bill, and the opening sideline of the afternoon falling to a Douglas man, and it's Owen Dolan who's standing over it. Opts to go short and takes the return as well. He's going to go long, and we're going to already see the line up inside that the boys were mentioning of how Douglas were going to set up, and Brian Turnbull coming all the way out from distance there from his full forward posting and driving that one wide. But you were spot on, Ger. They're obviously trying to create that space inside already.
Yeah, like from seeing their earlier games this year again, this is what they like to do. Like Turnbull plays out deep, Alan Cadigan plays out deep. They like to leave room for Shane Kingston aside, nearly on his own if at all possible. Like, you know what I mean. So Turnbull did well to get it. It looked a point from where we were here, but first wide of the day.
Dolan already on the ball twice this afternoon. Ball going in over Shane Kingston's head on that occasion. Blackrock getting to grips with this early setup. It's their wing back Niall Cashman delivering a great ball right across there towards looks to be Robbie Cotter, is it? Gone to ground, takes the return pass off the side from the sideline, dropping it over the crossbar. Opening score of the afternoon, and it's going to John O'Sullivan, the midfielder, and that was a fine score.
Yeah, and a great crossfield ball as well. I think with Niall Cashman, Robbie Cotter was out fast. It looks like Conor Kingston has switched wings or switched positions with Owen Cadigan. He's picking up Cotter, but a real sharp take from Cotter and a good pass back to John O'Sullivan.
Puck out from the goalkeeper. Donald Marr was trying to bring Alan Cadigan in to get, but just a matter of inches over Cadigan and out for the sideline, and it's going to be Niall Cashman who's going to take the resultant sideline. But a quick puck out there by Donald Marr. The intention was good, but the delivery, as I said, just marginally a few inches over Cadigan. Here's Cashman, decent enough connection, but kind of eventually finds its way perfectly to John O'Sullivan, the point scorer from a few moments ago, trying to work an angle for himself, and that's O'Sullivan. It's gone a bit short. Goalkeeper coming out, very brave there by Donald Marr, and great puck out by him to pick out his wing forward Mark O'Connor. He's going right across into that race again, into that space, but Blackrock back in numbers. Niall Cashman getting the touch back. He's full back. Gary Norberg back out as far as Cashman again. Route 1 dropping it around the middle of the field. It's going to be picked up by a Douglas man. That's Mark O'Connor. O'Connor does well to get the shot off as far as Owen Dolan, and Dolan from right on the halfway line, driving that one wide. Bit of a breeze there.
There is certainly, just looking at it there, Colin, like looking at flags there today, and just in the last couple of minutes, certainly the breeze has got up, and it's certainly favouring Douglas in this first half, blowing right down the pitch, like it's right down into the goal. So you'll notice from the puck outs as well that it's quite a strong breeze.
Yeah, Gavin Connolly taking his time there in terms of where he was going to drop it into. Yet again, great work by the Douglas half forward line there, hoovering up a lot of ball there, delivering it in nice and quick into the full forward line. Well, that lone full forward at the moment is Brian Turnbull, and on that occasion he was deemed to have taken the ball out over the sideline. But very busy work by Dolan and Mark O'Connor there, and Turnbull, as I said, unlucky on that occasion. And the end result is a sideline which Niall Cashman, for about the second or third time this afternoon from the same spot, is lining up to take. Much better connection by Cashman, but unfortunately not where he wanted to put it, because it's right down the throat of Killian O'Donovan, who's forced to go out wide towards Brian Hartnett, star for the footballers last week, producing some crucial scores, but that delivery was well, too much for Turnbull to get onto.
That's poor, Colin. Like they've had two wides, and the ball down the line was poured out of Stephen Moyle into Brian Turnbull, and that was a kind of aimless ball. So Douglas, after 4 or 5 minutes, to be honest, they're struggling a little bit. They need to kind of just get a bit of composure and settle down.
Stephen Murphy there, yeah, a bit of composure there, was blocked down, and well blocked down by the Douglas man there. Again, being called back for the free foul on Killian O'Donovan. And surely this must present the opening chance for Douglas to nail an equaliser with close on 5 minutes.
Yeah, good play from Keelan Donovan there. Intercepted the ball and went through, and it was chased by John Sullivan. The referee deemed that he fouled him, but pulling across, he got the hook in eventually, and kind of jumped for joy because he did the last game against the Barnes. He did it 2 or 3 times. His work rate that he brought to Blackrock the last day was hugely influential in the game that they play. But the referee deemed that he pulled across him, and first chance for Shane Kingston to put this one over the bar.
Okay, so it's Shane Kingston, as you said, first opportunity for him to test his marksmanship. That was statistic there from Ger beforehand, responsible for 50% of Douglas's scores. He's got his account open there after 5 minutes this afternoon as this Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final, and leaves the sides level 1 point apiece. Conley won't be rushing the puck outs into that strong wind. Still gets a decent purchase on it beyond midfield. Up they go for it.
Again, interesting from Douglas, Colin, as you see it there. Douglas playing with the wind, but they've only got 2 forwards inside their own half. Like you look back here, back from the 65-meter line back. Douglas have only 2 forwards. Shane is right on the square. And Shane Donegan out on the 65-meter line. Blackrock, as I say, not following. Cathal Cormac staying deep and holding that position there at the top of the D.
Connor Kingston there with the crucial clearance there. It looked like Blackrock were about to try a run through on goals there. They seem to have the numbers, but Kingston getting a powerful clearance away out over the sideline and out to safety. It's out with the captain there. That's Mark Harrington, forced to go all the way back to his goalkeeper Donald Maher. Forced to shimmy and shake and deliver it down to Owen Dolan. That's a fine ball by the goalkeeper to pick out his wing forward. It's the wing back there, Killian O'Donovan. He's got a man racing inside him. That man is taking the effort from distance, and it was Mark O'Connor, but O'Connor's effort gone wide from the wing forward, and that's 2 bad wides there from Douglas.
2 bad wides, Colm, and like if you're going to play a man inside like that, Shane was after making a savage run, peeled off his man, and the ball wasn't delivered in. Here's a good chance from here now.
Poor puck out by the goalkeeper is taken by Douglas, and it's taken by the centre forward Shane Kingston. And Kingston, well, we've mentioned 2 bad wides.
They're very jittery, Douglas. Yeah, they need to settle down. They just, they've probably had 3 or 4 bad wides. Some of the delivery in isn't great. That was a decent ball for Shane. I would expect him to score it, but just going back to the one beforehand, he had peeled off his man fabulous, and Keelan didn't look up. No, he gave a decent ball across, and I know there's a wind and it's easy to be critical, but when you're playing one inside, you have to give good ball and give it in fast.
Yeah, don't think in front of that, Charlie, though, you do have one of the Blackrock half forwards playing deep in front of him.
Yep.
From that point of view, so it's not the easiest to pick him out.
No.
One thing Douglas this year, Colin, in their matches so far, I think they have scored no goal. So they do like to shoot from long distance if the score isn't on.
Blackrock tallying a wide there, and anyway the end result is down the other end with Owen Dolan 14 yards out, going a bit of a skinner right across. It looked for a second there that it had taken a touch, but no, play on, and it's back out with Niall Cashman, who's been getting on quite a lot of ball in the opening 10 minutes here this afternoon. Great delivery by him in towards his corner forward. That's Robbie Cotter. Cotter trying to create a bit of space for himself, eventually getting the shot off, and that is a fantastic score by the corner forward.
Yeah, good. Yeah, actually, Sean, a good ball there from the keeper. Like Owen Dolan hit a very poor wide on the far side. Niall Cashman, who hadn't tracked him over to the far side of the pitch, stayed on this side and got the quick puck out. Hit a very good ball into Robbie Cotter. His first touch maybe should have been a bit better, but he got the second one and turned it over and off his left hand. Had a very good score.
Great puck out by Dolmar to Mark O'Connor, and Mark O'Connor from distance has found the range, and that's the applause of the Douglas fans you might be picking up here in the background. So, like, the ironic thing is, lads, for all the Douglas misses, it's still a draw game.
Yeah, still a draw game, and some of the scores have been, the 4 scores we've seen have been of decent quality, but I suppose 8 or 9 minutes in, the scoring in a lot of the games today has been very, very high. It's probably a low scoring game so far. 4 points after 8 or 9 minutes is probably low scoring.
Shane O'Keefe held up there by 2 Douglas players. Trying to work its way out there is Alan Conley, and the sideline going against Conley and against Blackrock, and Douglas happy to take it out with Mark O'Connor. 2 wing forwards, to say, for Douglas, working overtime this afternoon. Ball hopping past Shane Kingston. Is he going to make his way back up? Not giving up the fight. Kingston getting on the ball. He's right on the end line, but being marshalled back by the full back there. It looked to be Gary Norberg, back with the goalkeeper Conley. He's got Niall Cashman offering his services, but goalkeeper's going to go route one with this one, right down the throat of his centre forward. It's going to break off. Eventually it's John O'Sullivan scored the opening point of the afternoon, getting a foot to it, but can't find anyone except Cadigan, who's gone back to Donald Marr, and Marr starting us off again with a big long rangy puck out, using that wind, breaking off though, and it's a great play by the Blackrock defender there, bursting out there, riding through 2 tackles, and it's out with Daniel Meany there now. Great ball by Meany. Stuck there between the legs, and it's Douglas who are back out with Owen Dolan. Turnbull has a runner inside him. That runner is the midfielder Brian Hartnett. Scored a crucial couple of points for the footballers last week, and he's after putting the opening lead score for Douglas here.
Much better score there now, much better fare. I was reading Mike Houlihan on the Independent this morning, and he was lamenting the fact that there's no more physical contact in hurling. There was some nice body-to-body stuff there just a couple of seconds ago, but yeah, that's Douglas at their to their 4 really, I suppose. Brian Turnbull looking up and giving an excellent pass inside and a great score.
Yeah, it was Michael O'Halloran kind of got trapped under O'Halloran's legs on the last occasion. That's him on the ball there, opting to go out towards must be Shane O'Keefe, but a great block there, but it's gone out for a sideline. Stephen Moylan, I think, that got the touch to knock it out, but crucial touch it was.
Definitely Douglas, their system again, Shani, like the 2 wing forwards like to roam around the place like that. It's it can be difficult when it comes off, and it looks as if there's nobody marking them, because Blackrock are sticking to their system and playing the lads in wing back positions are staying in there.
So yeah, in terms, we're just watching here, a bit of danger. Eventually though, the goalkeeper falling down on top of it, Donald Marr bursting out, tries to pass it out and spills off him, and all very messy there from a Douglas perspective when they seem to have everything in hand, but making a lot of hard work for themselves. A heavy hit going on, but we'll stick with the play as it's gone down here. A wonderful hand gone out by Turnbull, huge grab by Turnbull. Shot, has it matched the catch? No, it hasn't, but interesting to see now, is the referee going to come back for that heavy clash down there.
He's calling John Sullivan back, because just as Owen Cadigan released the ball, certainly John Sullivan came in with a high shoulder into the chest of Owen Cadigan, who was will probably be fine, because Cadigan will be well used to those sorts of belts, but that was a heavy blow from John Sullivan. He probably could get yellow here for this.
Yeah, I was on holidays during the summer, and I met a lad from Clare above an Ennis, and he was raving about Brian Turnbull. He remember seeing him as a minor, so he's the kind of fella to me that I'd love to see, kind of live up to the promise and come alive. I mean, at different stages throughout his career, and he's a young lad, but there again, who is very unlucky. He's looked sharp, so I'd like to see him come alive and start getting 3 and 4 points a game. He was desperate and lucky there. Now he took a great off, an aerial ball, took it out of the air, brilliant. But he's a fella that I have a lot of time for, but he just hasn't hit the high notes yet. So hopefully out today he gets
I think that's still their system, Sean. As you look at it, like they're going to they're taking the shots from fair distance out, and on a windy day.
I know.
Small margins.
Small margins. I know.
And end result is the referee Colin McAllister.
Well, so it's certainly more than 5 seconds there, Colin. Like, there was a 5-second rule for the advantage. He left it go. He went back and looked, and he gave Brian Turnbull a chance to put it over the bar. He missed it, and then he brought it back. So
I don't think you'll have too many in Douglas complaining though, with Shane Kingston standing over this one, 45 yards out, tailing wide, 3 points to 2 with 13 minutes. Just to go back on that point that you were making, Ger, tactically regarding the roaming wing forwards from Douglas. What do you mean then by the positioning of the wing backs? Where do they stay? Do they just stay as in their normal wing back roles, or stick to the system?
What they're doing is staying with it. They're still like they're staying. You see Niall Cashman and you see Kyle Cormac on the far side. They'll stay in their positions. They won't vary, even though the Douglas wing forwards are moving across. It doesn't matter where they go. Like, you see Owen Dolan in front of us here, trying to push up the field. Niall Cashman now has got a decision to make. Does he go after him, because they have possession, and now if Douglas can get the ball, you've got all the space inside. But Douglas, or actually Blackrock, are still playing with the +1 on top of the D.
Must be very hard though in a match situation to kind of have that ability to discipline, to stick to that format.
Yeah, I think that's the way they play. That's their system, because they would have looked at Douglas and they would have seen how they played, like, you know what I mean. So they would have been expecting this, I would imagine.
Alan Cadigan taking the pass from his centre back Mark Harrington. Alan Cadigan from about 50 yards, and that is That is a wonderful score by Cadigan. Again, we've been questioning some of the finishing from Douglas, but touch of class there about that one, and it's pushed it out to 4 points to 2 as we're coming up on 15 minutes here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this afternoon. So we might be questioning some of the finishing, as I said, from a Douglas perspective, but they are in the lead, and that's the most important thing from their perspective. Pushing it back, it's Niall Cashman again. Has 2 players down on the ground. I'm sure the referee may have to intervene there now and come in, because it looks like one, we may have a head injury. Yeah, Cathal McAllister coming in. 2 players down.
Yeah, and I earlier, Colm, I was kind of critical of Douglas, saying that they needed to get some composure into their game, but in the last 4 or 5 minutes, what's become noticeable is that lack of composure has sort of slipped into the Blackrock play, and that was another aimless ball inside, a ball to nothing really. So it just kind of needs to settle down. It's not great fare at the moment. Maybe, as Ger keeps saying, I suppose that system that Douglas play, you know, it's in some ways it's almost kind of negative play as well. I mean, I don't like just seeing one man up top like that and crowded midfield and half back lines, but maybe it just mitigates against a good free flowing game. I don't know, but so far it's only been mediocre fare, and there's been, as I said, a lack of composure at different stages from both sides, and in the last couple of minutes it's very much on the Blackrock side.
Yeah, kind of.
Douglas will be ruining Colm the fact that I think they've had 4 whites so far. You know, if they had ticked on those 4 the scores, you know, they could have been 5 or 6 points ahead. And you'd imagine with that wind, it's something, Shawnee, they would need. You know, you'd be looking at you'd be saying from their own point of view, they probably would need a 3 or 4 or 5 point lead going in at half time for their own point of view.
I didn't know that, to be honest. Definitely, if they're not a goal scoring team, if you're depending on high scores from points, exactly, they need to be kind of 7 or 8 up with a strong win.
The referee is having a wander around. He's talking to his linesmen and his umpires. A few little skirmishes breaking out, but Cillian O'Donovan is back on his feet, and over on the far side it looks to be Shane O'Keefe, I think. But anyway, the 2 players, crucially, are back on their feet, showing no ill effects there. But there's a yellow card being issued to the corner forward, Mark O'Keefe, following all of that. So as I
didn't
said,
see what that was for, Shawnee. Did you have a look? I didn't. It
no,
was for the clash or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not a dirty game. There's been like plenty of contact, but it's not a dirty game by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it was interesting though. While the lads were down, Cathal McAllister went both to his linesman and to the 2 umpires as well. So obviously something spotted by one of the officials down there. Cathal Cormac working his way out of trouble, but can only find Owen Cadigan. And finds another Owen. That was Owen Dolan, all out to Stephen Moylan. He's going to work it in there towards the corner forward. But Blackrock back in numbers.
That's very good play from Conor O'Brien. All he had to do there was just break the ball down, and he knew the support would come in from behind him to the breaking ball. But poor clearance there, and good score from Mark O'Connor.
Mark O'Connor perfectly placed exactly to make the most of that poor clearance, and not for the first time has the Blackrock clearance left them down, as we head to the water break with 17 and a half minutes gone on the clock. So it's Douglas 5 points, Blackrock 2 points. As you said, Shawnee, kind of a very strange stop-start.
Yes, and look, I don't know, we're not Sky Sports ratting, but I'd like to see what the kind of possession thing is like. Like for that's why it was kind of complimentary of Blackrock earlier, because with limited possession they were getting, you know, 2 early scores and they were staying in the game after 4 or 5 minutes. But I don't think they've scored in the last 12 or 13 minutes. They've got a little bit giddy. Some of their striking has been poor. Again, without being overcritical, but that was a poor strike out of Daniel Meany, you know, an experienced player, a player you would expect to show a bit of leadership. It was a sloppy pass to maybe was it Mark O'Connor, and an easy point. But yeah, it's been, you know, fair enough contest so far. You know, a bit of contact, a bit of belting, and a bit of shoulder stuff, no dirty stuff, but you'd hope that it would catch alive now and get going in the next couple of minutes.
Obviously Blackrock as well, Colin will be looking to trying to get the ball in. Talon Conley is their danger man inside there, you know. But obviously that wind, any strike from the Blackrock, you know, half back in stroke midfield is going to be difficult to get the ball into him, because the wind is holding it up, and and Blackrock or Douglas like to play Mark Harrington quite deep as well, because they have their 2 wing forwards out towards midfield. Mark Harrington can afford to sit deep and try cut off that ball to Connolly. So interesting quarter of an hour, I must say. Like, you know, as Shawnee said, Douglas started like a bit nervy. They've turned it around a bit now, and if, you know, next 12 or 13 minutes in this quarter, if they can push it out to 5 or 6 points, they'll put themselves in a great position at half time.
Okay, now we're watching there. I see Alan Connolly seems to be positioned a bit closer to goal on this occasion. We'll see, will there be a tactical change from Blackrock in terms of getting it into him quicker. The ball is with Douglas, and it's a poor ball there, and it's intercepted by Niall Cashman. Space opening up in front of Cashman. Opts to go inside, bring his midfielders into it. Eventually the shot being taken off by the corner forward, but driven wide there. It was Mark O'Keefe that had the end shot there. Great interplay though, set up by Niall Cashman.
He's given the free again though.
Has brought it back, yeah.
It's like he get the advantage. They work the overlap, work the pass, and Shane O'Keefe had a shot from 35 metres out. So that was the advantage for me. Like bringing it back to for a free. This was well after the 5 seconds.
And we saw it in the Sars Middleton game a couple of weeks ago. The advantage, it seems to be, yes, it's a 5-second rule, but they seem to be waiting to see if the score develops or something just to an advantaged extent, say. And if not, then they'll pull it back. Which counteracts completely what the 5-second rule is all about.
In result anyway is a free, and in result is a converted free by Alan Conley. He's first of the afternoon.
That's the game they have to play, Colm. They have to run the ball through to get the ball into Connolly and the boys inside, because they have to run the ball because of the wind being so strong.
Danica Murphy, well, Connolly did ever so well to keep the ball in play there. It's gone to ground there. Still Connolly trying to work a pass out, get something off it. Goalkeeper brings it down under the crossbar. Dolmar. Not as far as Alan Cadigan, or Owen Cadigan, excuse me. Route 1 all the way down here towards Turnbull. Trying to ferret it out there. Colin McAllister is going to have to step in and throw that one in. Donegan and Turnbull trying their hardest to get it out.
And Turnbull need to be sharper there. Shawnee doesn't need, you need to be trying to get the ball like
front
down like that, out in front. Good touch, like playing it off the hurley like that sometimes when gives a corner back a chance to take the ball off you.
Eventually finds its way out to Conor O'Brien. It's more like an AIL game there, scrummage. Eventually the ball is found out, and it's on its way downfield. Alan Conley is on it. Great little turn by Conley. Turn on the afterburners now. He's been held up by 2 defenders, make that 3 defenders. A couple of heavy hits coming in. Still going, it's with Mark O'Keefe. He loses possession. And a high arm there for Conley, and surely there's going to be a word there from the referee, and you can see Owen Cadigan celebrating that as if it was a score.
Absolutely, big one for Cadigan there. High tackle from Alan Conley. The referee didn't even chat to him in any shape or form. But again, looking at there where they go, Alan Conley came up for the ball and he caught it twice. He couldn't do it again. He just dropped the ball to the ground. Again, I wasn't sure that's deemed illegal. Is that legal that you can do that?
Owen Dolan forced to go all the way back and bring Stephen Moyle into it. There's a Blackrock player now down on the ground. It's Niall Cashman. The shot coming in there from Killian O'Donovan takes a heavy hit into the back as well as he gets off the shot. Doesn't seem to have damaged his radar too much though, as he's after putting that one over from 80 yards. But as I said, Niall Cashman down on the ground, and the Blackrock mentors in since.
Great score out of Killy. He did the same against Dublin a couple of weeks ago. He's got that. Look, George said it earlier, I suppose, when you're playing so far out the field and you're crowding midfield, and you're giving pop passes, then you want fellas that can strike the ball long, and Killian O'Donovan, absolutely ticks that box. He got a couple that night against Dublin, 3 or 4 from play. That was a huge monster score, and it came on maybe 30 or 40 seconds after the dispossession from Alan Connolly. So momentum big time now with Douglas.
And Niall Cashman, Colm, was obviously he's taking the helmet off, and Dr. Paddy is with him there to have a look at him. Seems to get the Blackrock mentors were jumping on the line there that Niall Cashman seemed to get a blow in the head, but as the play developed, Cahill didn't blow for it, and Douglas played it back and hit the ball to Killian and got a great score.
Powerful effort from Killian. As I said, he got a hefty dunt into the back just as he released the ball as well too, but managed to keep his composure and get it over the target. Right, what can Blackrock do now at the other end? It's with their corner forward, that's Mark O'Keefe, and Mark O'Keefe from 40 yards pointed it right over the red spot, and that's the response that you would expect that Blackrock needed.
Great score.
Again, as I say, they work it out. Good puck out from Gavin Connolly to Carl Cormac, and again hit the ball to Michael O'Halloran, who had plenty of time and space, gave it back to Mark O'Keefe and had a chance to go over the bar. You have to walk the ball up the pitch because that wind is quite strong.
As you can see there from the puck out the distance it's travelling. Gary Norberg coming out, well, trying hard to come out. He's met with a wall of Douglas players. Went to ground again, as I said, it's just gone a bit messy in a couple of these occasions, not very free-flowing. Foot race on, but it should be Mark Harrington, the captain for Douglas, who's going to win that one. Great presence of mind by him to bring in Mark O'Connor. Going through the hands, it's being held up there by Lend, and it can drop all the way out wide the goalkeeper, and should be an easy one there for Gavin Connolly to get us up and running yet again.
And that's something Douglas maybe not looking at, going into tackles. Like Blackrock are a very physical team. They're a very big side, and you know, probably you don't want to be going into those tackles against Blackrock, and they'll be better off to keep the play more open.
Niall Cashman has recovered from his head hit there a few moments ago, picks out Stephen Murphy, and Murphy's shot though is tame to say the least as it trickles out and wide.
Yeah, they're doing lots right. I mean, in fairness tonight, he brought it into contact, did the swivel and then give it back pass. You'd expect more from Stephen Murphy. Yeah, as I said, Niall is playing plenty of ball. He's coming down the wing here with momentum and force, but when you get chances like that, you got to take them.
Blackrock Hurley that touched that one last, and it's gone out for the sideline. They're battling over it. Alan Cadigan opting to go short to Owen Dolan, bringing it back to Cadigan. Cadigan, oh, that's a fantastic block there by the cornerback Conor O'Brien. Still though, Douglas eventually getting it to Mark Harrington. Harrington's shot gets a bit of a touch, but has it gone wide. Looked like it had clipped to Hurley on the way, but no, says Colin McAllister, and ball ruled as a wide. Out now to Alan Cadigan. Oh, nice little touch inside by Cadigan to bring Owen Dolan into it. Dolan going short yet again for Turnbull. Or not Turnbull, that's Shane Donegan. Still Donegan being held up, going back, trying to bring Shane Kingston into it. It's been relatively quiet this afternoon. He's opting to go right across the field.
There's an overlap here if he sees him.
Mark Harrington is going to pick out Stephen Moylan on that overlap. Moylan probably dithered a second or two too long, did he, Ger? And Blackrock resetting, and it's Douglas sideline over in that far side. For a second there, it looked like Moylan was onto it.
Yeah, I thought Mark Harrington went with a hand pass, but I think it was to me it was a Hurley pass, because he had time to hit it over in front of Stephen Moylan. But the hand pass kind of held in the air a bit and just kind of stopped his momentum a bit, because there certainly was looking from our advantage point here. There was space on there.
It's a poor sideline. It's out to Blackrock, and the shot eventually coming off. Is it we're tracking it? Yes, it is gone over. It's a grain, and it's brought it back to 6 points to 5.
Good score for Michael Halloran. That's the second score he's been involved in now. He set up the earlier one for Mark O'Keefe, and I thought that was a free over. I thought Robbie Cotter was caught in the head.
Douglas on that occasion only have themselves to blame. Had the sideline, but poor clearance from the sideline, and Michael O'Halloran, second of the afternoon for him.
I think Blackrock, like of Robbie Cotter over on the far side, had taken off the helmet and went down. Colin McAllister wasn't having any of it, because maybe Blackrock he got up again, and once the ball was poked out and put the helmet back on, but maybe trying to slow the game down against that wind in the first half.
From a Blackrock perspective, happy enough to be a point adrift with that wind?
I think so, Colin, and they're not playing that well, and that's what I'd be worried if I was in the Douglas camp, because they're playing much better. They have much more possession. I think they're overdoing it a small bit, but Blackrock are hanging in there. They're eking out scores. They're just break, as George said, trying to slow it down when they can, and to be a point down at this stage, I think they'd be delighted.
That man yet again, Niall Cashman, is the release valve time and time again for Blackrock. It's with John Cashman. Oh, what a wonderful ball. The shot, is it a score? Yes, it is, and it's the equalising score as well too. And what an effort it was there from
Shane O'Keefe. Shane got that one pass from his brother Mark. Again, the Blackrock lads know that Niall Cashman is the out ball here on the left hand side. He's playing quite holding the line, holding his position, and Blackrock with the extra man inside, or know they can play it out to the left hand side, that the Douglas wing forward is gone either out to midfield or gone on the other side.
Mark Harrington gone route one yet again in towards
Extra man inside there is the +1 again. All the cornerback has to do is just break the ball, knowing that the extra man is there coming in behind him.
That was Conor O'Brien who was the extra man. Cathal Cormac now. And put under a bit of pressure, but there's reinforcements time and time again for Blackrock coming up, but the clearance time and again is catching them out. All the way back as far as Owen Dolan saw 2 tackles coming, stepped out of those, bringing Brian Hartnett into it. Hartnett trying to work it onto his left, going right across the field over to the far side, and it was Brian Turnbull. I don't know, did he lose it in the sun or what? It just kind of hopped in front of him and out over the sideline. Huge ball, Alan Connolly trying to get under it, but it's Donegal Murphy winning the race there. No, it's Connolly, space opening up in front of him. He's got a man inside, he's going to go himself, and he's put it into the bottom corner of the net. Has been relatively quiet this afternoon, but just turned it on like that, and there's a Douglas man down, and the Douglas players are furious with the match referee about what happened in the build-up to that goal.
I think they've every right to be questioning Colm. I'd love to see it back the replay again, whether he certainly got a shoulder, but it was into the chest. I think that it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. He looks to be knocked out quick. You know, he's panned out over. I think this Mark Harrington is down. The Douglas players are livid in the middle of the field, and it certainly looked at first glance, my shotty and myself here both said free, and I thought, but again, not taken away from Connolly's finish. It was an excellent finish. Once he gets into that situation, he's a fantastic finisher. But certainly, you know, not having the benefit to look back, but it certainly looked a free to me anyway.
Definitely, yeah, without a doubt. I think what's become noticeable then, free aside, is the levels that the two O'Keefes have gone up. Michael O'Halloran in the last couple of minutes, and then obviously Connolly. He's threatened a little bit. He nearly set up a goal earlier for Robbie Cotter, but just he has some eye for goal. He does goals, doesn't he? He didn't know at any stage, looked like he was going to clip it over the bar. He was going straight for the jugular, but back to George's point. It was a free out, absolutely. I mean, in fairness to Harrington, he had just turned him, was hit with a shoulder straight into the chest. And these are the weird ones that can decide games. It might be a deciding one in the next half an hour.
Yeah, the finish again, Colm, like again off the ground. You know, the surface is the early shower, surface is wet, balls greased. You know, with like lightning off that grass today, like, you know what I mean. So super finish from Alan Connolly.
Incredible finish, and you are right, Jerry. It was Mark Harrington who is back on his feet after that. The Douglas players absolutely furious. Goal chance maybe here at the other end, being pulled back is Owen Dolan, and the free being awarded very quickly there by Cathal McAllister. But I'm sure that there'll be a huge reviewing of that bit of footage there.
There's trouble here, Colm.
Serious trouble here as Blackrock player.
He's in trouble here, I think.
Looks to be is it Conor O'Brien who's down on the ground, the corner back. Yeah, straight red card. So
It looked like a ball.
It was like he went. I think Conor O'Brien took the ball. I think Blackrock were quite happy to give away the free. John Cashin pulled him down, said that we'll take the point, we'll take the hit. I think, and then Conor O'Brien put the ball into his hand. Brian Hartnett went over to try pull it out of his hand. I think bit of a squaring up, but there was definitely head movement.
Head contact, yeah.
Straight red card. Brian Hartnett, Douglas are now down to 14 men. As we said, they had the free, 21 yards out.
Listen, Colin, I just want to compliment him, because after a big score, it's fantastic to come back and counter it with a score or a free. So they had done that. It's back to a 2-point game, but Brian will be very disappointed. Like, that was senseless.
Shane Kingston putting it over, but it's just a ripple of applause from the Douglas fans. And to think, like, as we said 7 days ago, Brian Hartnett was an integral figure for the footballers in their win against Nemo, and now 7 days later, the villain of the piece here, potentially, if Douglas are knocked out, as his side now down to 14 men, and all going wrong in the space of 60 seconds there, with Owen Dolan trying to keep the ball in play but going out for a sideline and possession back with Blackrock, and with Daniel Mealy on the sideline. It's kind of strange. we wouldn't have said it was a dirty game, but there's been a couple of little niggles and incidents, isn't there?
Yeah, there's bound to be, I suppose, outside derby. You know, there was always going to be something in it. But no, it's not a filthy game by any stretch. But yeah, there's been a few things. There's been a few cards brandished, contentious decisions, say, with the Mark Harrington one. But what I think is that in the last couple of minutes, you know, whether it is know-how, experience, or whatever it is, Blackrock are just starting to go through the gears. Okay,
Turnbull there taking the pass from Cadigan, and Turnbull from 40 yards out, 50 yards out. He was saluting it, but the umpire has waved it wide, and it's leaving it 1-6 in favour of Blackrock to Douglas's 7 points as we're heading to half-time. We'll be back with more comment and analysis from the lads in about 45 seconds' time.
Headbutt.
Okay, and welcome back here to Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Plenty of talking points. We're just looking at a review there. The lads are just looking at a clip of the sending off. That's the big talking point of this first half here. It's 1-6 to 7 points. Blackrock leading. So will we just start, so guys, on the two big talking points? The goal and that sending off. We'll start with the sending off there. You're just after looking back on the footage, Shawnee. No doubts?
No doubt. And look, I don't think he he didn't hurt a lad. He didn't, you know, cause a lad to go off to hospital getting stitches. But the rules are the rules, and it was a stupid thing to do. And in commentary earlier, I just said like that after a big score, when you're the opposition, you know, you're trying to say to your team, get down the field, settle it down, get the next score, win a free, do something positive, and they did exactly that. They ticked the box, bang on, got their score. Now, obviously, a man was playing it cute and he was trying to pull the ball out of maybe Brian's hand or something, but he shouldn't have done it. And look, by the letter of the law, he had to go. It was a blatant head bomb.
Again, another talking point a few moments beforehand. The goal, as you said, an incredible finish by Alan Connolly, but we're more concerned with what happened in the 15 seconds before it.
Yeah, you know, Mark Harrington to me was definitely it was a shoulder to the chest charge, Colm, and it was definitely a blatant free out for me. You know, great credit to Connolly, as you say, for the finish, but that could be a huge turning point of the game, because I mentioned before at the start of the second water break. The scores of the water break were 5 points to 2 in favour of Douglas, and it's now finished 1-6 to 7 points. So Douglas have scored 2 points in that quarter, and I was looking for them to push on to score 4 or 5 points and, you know, have a nice little lead at half time. And instead now they've Blackrock turned it around, scored a goal in 4 points, and now leading by 2 points with the breeze to come in the second half. So a lot of things in that quarter, where the huge turnaround for Blackrock to turn the game around in their favour. They got a goal, fortuitously in my view, with that should have been a free out, and then the actual sending off was again has gone in their favour as well. So Blackrock will be very happy with the position at half time. They played very well for 12, maybe for a quarter of an hour there in the second quarter, opened the game up, used their experience, carried the ball a bit better, and Douglas will be disappointed. Like they've scored 6. Kingston hasn't scored from play, you know, and now in the second half he's going to be under much more pressure. That Blackrock now can afford to double tag him if they want to. They have the extra man, and I think history has shown us if Shane Kingston is held and not scoring, Douglas will find it hard to win games.
Okay, is there a need for a new strategy, a new tactic from Douglas? This isolation of Brian Turnbull inside hasn't really worked for them.
Yeah, it hasn't. And then other times when they're not throwing it in there, they're sort of shooting aimlessly. Like, look, we all know Alan Cadigan, he's a super player, but his strong hand is his left hand. And a few times then he struck long distance strikes off his right hand. Now, I didn't have a left hand myself. I couldn't score from 20 yards out on my left hand.
Oh,
I certainly wouldn't try for 45 out. So, you know, I would have thought Alan at times could have been a bit cuter. Some of their striking from distance is a little bit aimless, and, you know, there's lacking purpose and direction. Some of the stuff I'd say, Colm, is just about that. A bit more purpose to their play, like Brian Turnbull. If a ball is put outside you, go to the ball with more purpose. You know, you kind of half-heartedly go into it and not winning
before
position.
the half time. Do you remember the crossfield ball?
The one in front of us here. You're out in front. Get it, win it, take your man on and go down the line. I wouldn't say necessarily they'll change the approach because Shane Brick plays a certain style, but they seriously need to up the ante. Concentration levels need to go way up. Composure needs to come into their play, because what became obvious from about the water break to the half-time break was that Blackrock's Noose, their experience, their big players, they just grinded it out. The physical contest, they revelled in it, and then when they got their chance, they gave fantastic ball inside to Robbie Cotter. When the time was for Cashel to bring it up the field, John Sullivan peeled off for a pop pass, so their cuteness started to come into play. So for me, I don't know if they're going to change tactic, but definitely Douglas need to up the ante and get the concentration levels up and just put a bit more fervour into their play.
I'm always intrigued, Ger, with the extra man, the spare man, now that you have it. It can be a double-edged sword at times.
It can, and it's not going to win the match for Blackrock by having an extra man in the second half, but it'll certainly play a big part in the game. Now they're 2 points up, they're playing with a strong winds down the pitch. You know, most teams will play with the +1, then they'll put the extra man back in the half back line or even behind the half back line, and even more so today when Douglas's main threat is inside the full forward position. It will mean that they will try cut off the supply into Shane Kingston inside there. So again, but they also have the luxury if things go against it, and Douglas get into the game and get back into the game, they then can afford to put the extra man up if they wanted to cause a bit of a extra bit of if they need scores afterwards. So it's in their hands. It's in their favour now at this stage. You know, they've weathered the storm, so to speak, in the first half there. At the start of the game with Douglas, and they've put themselves in a great position to win the game. You know, but again, against the win sometimes as well, it'll force Douglas to carry the ball, because obviously they're going to be hitting the ball. They can't hit the ball long because there's going to be an extra defender in there, so they're going to have to work the ball through the lines a bit, and that, you know, that's probably their style a bit more so than hitting long balls. So interesting second half from their point of view as to how they adapt now, that the fact of to play the ball through the lines, they've got to get Shane into the game. You know, to say Brian Turnbull there and Alan Cadigan, like their first touch, you know, the man alongside me had the best first touch nearly of any fella. Like when the ball went in, he was a genius getting the ball, and he can see those guys that you must get the ball into your hand quickly, and then you cause trouble, then you take the man on, then you make your decisions what you're going to do with the ball. But sometimes if your first touch isn't good and you play it off to Hurley, it gives any tough cornerback, any fellow who's there doing his job, a chance to flick the ball away and get the ball to ground. You know, so big test for Douglas now in the second half. You know, we've been speaking about their potential over the last number of years, and you know, they've been very impressive this year. Now this is probably the first time that they haven't been ahead and questions have been asked of them. Really, they cruise through their group stages. Now this is Championship Hurling now at this stage. This is knockout. They have a big test ahead of them now in the second half.
Yeah, I think so, and I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Shane will do to kind of, you know, counteract the extra man that Blackrock will have. I suppose just in general around the game, like I love seeing players, and Joe had him and he knows exactly what he's like. The likes of Alan Connolly that hasn't really pucked the ball for 30 odd minutes.
But in the one chance,
twinkling of an eye, column just shows incredible calmness and finishes it brilliantly, as you said, Joe, expertly off the ground and into the back of the net. And like, I'm not sure really if Douglas have that kind of a player. They've kind of players that have to be in the game and have to be touching the ball. Connolly is one of those fellas that can stay on the periphery and finish. But yeah, it'll be an interesting second half. 15 on 15, I would say, very much game on, and it could be very much a contest that'll go right down to the wire. But with the one-man advantage now that Blackrock have, for me, I can only see one winner. That sounds a bit kind of calling it a bit early, but for me, with an extra man and the way they were eking it out coming into the end of that first half, I would say major advantage Blackrock.
We're just looking down on the pitch. The Douglas team out already. Daniel Hart, wearing number 23, is out there. Not sure who's making way for him. We're waiting on the Blackrock team, and they're just emerging from the tunnel now to a rapturous welcome. Great, as we said, to see increased attendances here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh and indeed at GA and sports grounds across the country following the lifting of government restrictions at the weekend, and certainly more of a buzz on a big day like this afternoon. So I suppose your final word to you before we go to the second half. You concur with Shawnee's viewpoints?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Shane Donegan is the player that's made way for. They've brought on Daniel Hart at wing forward. As you say, John Cashman looks like to be the extra player from a defensive point of view that Blackrock are going to go with. And as I say, Douglas are looking at the 3.5 forward line, and it looks like a 3-1-1 formation with Brian Turnbull in the middle of the D and Shane Kingston at the edge of the square. And I just think Douglas would have any chance to have to get Kingston into the game in some shape or form, whether that means bringing him out to try to get him on the ball a bit more, which lessens their impact inside. Blackrock, are in pole position now. Douglas will need a very, very good third quarter now. They need to hang in there. They need to not let the game slip from them. They need to get a couple of scores and see how the game will go in the next quarter of an hour. Big quarter of an hour for Douglas.
Huge quarter of an hour and a huge second half as they try to maintain their interest in this season's championship against the champions Blackrock. And eventually being forward out there by Mark Howell. It'll be interesting to see, as Ger said, what the placement of Kingston, etc., will be like inside. It's Brian Turnbull who's after winning that one, and then Turnbull himself going from distance from the sideline. That's an outrageous effort against the wind, right out on the sideline and straight over.
Great score. That'll lose confidence. No harm. No. I mean, fairness, Conor O'Brien did everything right, but in fairness, good anticipation after won the second ball and a great score from Brian. That'll lose confidence now. Great, good.
Huge clearance down by Norberg there, and there's a goal chance opening up, and a thunderous strike over the crossbar there from Blackrock, and from their corner forward. I think it was it Mark O'Keefe that got the shot off in the end.
Yeah, just again, look, the warning signals here. From puck out from Blackrock, Douglas will have to kind of make sure he pucks it long. He pucked that ball from 21 into the edge of the square. Ball came off John O'Sullivan to Mark O'Keefe, blazed it high over the bar when the goal was on.
It's Shane Kingston, and Kingston on this occasion the accuracy poor, and a yard or so wide, and quickly taken by the goalkeeper. We were just talking about would they use the wind, but they're going to use it with John Cashman instead, the nominal spare man, shall we call him. Shot coming off there from Robbie Cotter, and the point from Cotter.
Yeah, again, good play from Blackrock. Worked the ball out with a short puck out, and then hit the ball into space to Robbie Cotter. Was well marked by Conor Kingston off his right side, turned to his left side and put a lovely ball over the bar.
Just goes to show the direct play with that wind, and that obviously seems to be the mantra that Blackrock are going to be adopting in the course of this second half. It was a short puck out by the goalkeeper, bringing in the wing back, and then bang into Cotter and banging over the crossbar. Goal scorer Connolly. Ball breaks up though for Donica Murphy, cornerback outside. Nice little pace by Donica to bring it out. It's Mark O'Connor. Douglas making life very difficult for themselves there. It's Cillian O'Donovan who brings in Mark Howell. Howell's shot though is all day into the goalkeeper's chest, Gavin Connolly, and returned with interest very quickly out to his midfielder, to Stephen Murphy. Connolly trying to control it. How did he manage to get onto that one? Eventually finding his way to Shane O'Keefe, and O'Keefe was fouled. It looked like Connolly had been fouled first off, but heavy shoulder riding in on top of Shane O'Keefe, and that's straight in front of the post. And with a marksman like Connolly and with that wind behind him, this should be going right over. But is it just me, or is it a very laboured approach, or is it because of the wind for Douglas as they're trying to work the ball up through the lines?
I think they have to work it up, Colm. They've no choice. And again, Mark Howell won a ball there out in front of us here in midfield, decided to go forward and solo with it and take it on and try get a score himself. But Turnbull and Kingston both made runs for that pass, and it might have been a better option for him to try to find one of those inside, because he was a long way out. He didn't strike it really well and into the keeper, and they turned it over below and a point at the other end.
Carrington making life very difficult for himself there, eventually getting a free out to Owen Cadigan. Cadigan taking that one quickly. And it's Turnbull that's onto it, scored that opening point of the second half from a similar angle just a few moments ago. He's going to try his look for the second occasion. That seems to be the sweet spot for him over there.
Yeah, in fairness to him, he's really laying down the challenge himself almost single-handedly there. He's the sharpest of the attackers at the start of the second half on both sides, and that was a fabulous score. Out in the north stand there.
It's a savage puck down by John Cashman. It's Conley again. Conley in the back of the net. Cotter collected the clearance, saw the runner. It was Alan Conley, and from 10 yards, well, really, I think we know how that story ends.
Yeah, great finish. Like, Cotter has contributed all day, both from scores, from play, and from distribution. Totally selfishness, or no selfishness in his play. Gave a great pass off to Conley, and it was only going to be one finish when he was in that kind of a position.
But yet again, we have to give credit to John Cashman's delivery in there for the second time in a row.
And again, it came from the goalkeeper again. I think Douglas have to mark it up. They have to force, if at all possible, they have to force a scenario where the goalkeeper has to go along from his goal line, not 21 yards out. An accurate ball to John Cashman in. Fantastic catch from Robbie Cotter. And the vision and the unselfish laid off straight away. Alan Connolly coming in, brilliant finish. Like, he's a lethal finisher, like, and there was only going to be one score there.
He's pushed it out to a 6-point game. Daniel Hart there is the number 23, and he's only on the field about 5 minutes, and he's already collected a yellow card from Colin McAllister for a high tackle down there in front of us, and a free resulting to Blackrock. It's Connolly, who's going to come all the way out. A quiet game by his standards.
Yeah.
and 2 goals.
He's on 2 in a bit. I think Blackrock as well there, Colm, like you fellas like John O'Sullivan and Stephen Murphy, they're not massive names or anything, but they do incredible work. 2 balls in a row one ball that Stephen gave in, and he won the last free. He's been around the scene now for a while, and he's a great little player for Blackrock.
Alan Connolly, distance with a bit of wind behind him, and he's popped that one over.
That's a great score, Colin, because again, even with the wind behind him, a difficult out in front of us here inside his own half. He made beautiful connection with it, and great score.
Speaking of great scores, I think we'll add that one to the highlights reel as well. Stephen Murphy just kind of clipped it, judged the wind to perfection, like a little wedge. I'm sure that you'll be.
Yeah, he's a good player, Stephen.
The rain starting to fall now here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's Hart, the new man in, Daniel Hart, and still Hart flipping it across, foot race on there. Eventually coming out as far as Callaghan, and he's after getting a heavy blow into the head as he went down for it, and that'll be a free in.
Yeah, that's again Douglas that's what they need to do. Shane Kingston won a good ball out on the sideline, gave a good pass to Daniel Hart in, and then he went through and crossed the face of the goal. Alan Callaghan did really well to get possession, and he drew the free really because he was under pressure from 2 defenders.
2-11 to 9 points. The shot, he went for the goal. Has been deflected over for the point. Was it right call at that stage?
Yeah,
have a crack.
I suppose at this stage you're looking at it. There were 8 points down into the second half, playing against the wind. They're going to get few chances. So if he felt the chance was on, chance to go, and at the end of it all, he went over the bar. So no loss.
Seems to be a kind of a template now from Blackrock. It's puck out by the goalkeeper, goes short to either Cathal Cormac or John Cashman, and they put in the delivery then. This occasion is spilled off Connolly, and Douglas regrouping with Conor Kingston. Group 1 by Kingston, and a good effort despite the wind. Race is on there, and eventually it's going to find its way out. It looked to be Owen Dolan. He's got Blackrock
extra defender all the time there.
Did very well there. Bringing back in Gavin Connolly. Connolly on this occasion is going to go himself.
Find his brother.
That is some effort by him, and the other Connolly, the goal scoring hero, Alan, is on top of it. So too is the goalkeeper, Donald Maher. We're going to see what the referee is going to do here. It was some puck out by Gavin though to his brother. It's been 90 plus yards with the wind. Kind of got trapped under Alan, and the goalkeeper coming out, Donald Maher. And I think the end result is going to be a free. In what direction is it going to go, or is he just going to throw the ball in?
Yeah, the goalkeeper might be a small bit lucky there. He probably had no choice, Colin, but to lay in the ball because there was danger. He was on the 14-yard line, but I think he's going to go throw the ball in for a hot ball. So
yeah, looks like
he's coming off a blood suck here.
Yeah, Colin McAllister instructing Alan to leave the pitch and receive the necessary running repairs, and throwing the ball in, and it's back out there with Owen Cadigan trying to find Turnbull. He's had 2 points from roughly that side of the field so far this afternoon, opting to bring in Alan Cadigan, and Cadigan getting the shot off, and Cadigan getting the score, and we're back to a 6-point game with close on 40 minutes elapsed here.
Temporary substitution on the Blackrock team. They will hail the Alan Conley has been replaced by Fergal Ryan DC. Temporary substitution.
Interesting the mention of Ty Geesey there. We were wondering about his fitness a little earlier. He's on the pitch, and his first act is to get into the referee's notebook and a yellow card for an overly should we say, choosing my words carefully. Amorous was the word that I had with coming together. We settle on that with Alan Cadigan and DC's yellow card was his only contribution in that 30 odd seconds as he's back off the field there, and Alan Conley back on. That noise you hear in the background is the rain that's just after appearing out of nowhere here in a cool breeze up here in this part of our vantage point. Conley showing no ill effects from that blood injury. Still has possession here, trying to burrow his way past 1, 2, 3, 4 Douglas players. Eventually loses the ball, and it trickles out wide.
Is there a stamp there?
There was a stamp, yeah. Donica Murphy, if it has been seen, could be in trouble, Colm. Not sure the umpire hasn't put, or the linesman haven't put their hand out. But Donica Murphy could be a lucky boy.
The ball is down at the other end. It was Daniel Hartley's lost it. Conley is still down on the ground, now receiving treatment. Mark O'Connor. Eventually it's found its way down towards Cadigan. That's Alan Cadigan. Or Brian Turnbull, sorry. Cadigan now on the ball. Very messy now here at the moment, and there's little bits of pulling and dragging and niggle developing. Stephen Moylan. Owen Dolan. Eventually it's been brought out here by Mark O'Keefe. The overlap being provided by John O'Sullivan, scored the opening point from Blackrock, and John O'Sullivan is after putting another point over. No, he hasn't. It looked to be good from our vantage point here, I must say, but the umpire has waved it wide, and it leaves it at 2-11 points.
Yeah, I suppose Douglas again trying to work the ball through the lines again, and it's quite difficult to get past their midfield there. Blackrock very big, very physical, turned it over. Mark O'Keefe did really well, took it on and gave a ball to John Sullivan, and as you say, it looked in between the posts when we were here, but referee waved wide. But I think Douglas are actually struggling to get the ball into the forward line. There's Robbie.
Great play there by the Douglas defender to take it away from Cotter, but it's still Blackrock that have it. And there's another high arm coming in there. Referee, obviously mustn't have seen it, as players now starting to struggle with their footing here in front of us, as this rain is making conditions ever so slippery. Eventually Shane O'Keefe getting the shot off, and Shane O'Keefe driving it wide, but the last 3 or 4 minutes has gone, whether it's the rain or what, has gone very sloppy.
Yeah, the conditions have deteriorated, noticeably. So, obviously the striking is becoming difficult and the strikes are tailing off. But in fairness to Douglas, they're battling hard. They're good in the tackle, whether a lot of the tackles are legitimate or not is another thing. But in fairness, they're boxing up for a team that are numerically or disadvantaged. Michael O'Halloran, in fairness, was outnumbered there, which is testament to the hard work and everything from Douglas. So 6 points isn't insurmountable. They need to keep battling away, and they might get their own break, but in fairness to them, they're trying hard.
But they're going to have to do it without Alan Cadigan. He came off there, didn't look to be very happy, didn't look to be moving very freely either, Ger. And Niall Hartnett is the man that's after coming on.
Yeah, I suppose that's just an indication from the point of view of maybe the frustration and Alan Cadigan playing out in the half forward line. Not his probably no most natural position, and Douglas having to play him out there. Maybe a switch with Shane for a bit might have been an option for them, but they've brought on Niall Hartnett to stand at the edge of the square, brought Shane Kingston out centre forward. So that's a bit of a loss to Douglas, because Cadigan would be one of the guys they'd be looking to get scores, because they need scores if they're going to win this game.
Niall, of course, another huge football presence in that win last week against Douglas. The big free there from another Niall Cashman, gone wide, overshot its intended target of the danger zone, which has proved so fruitful for them in this second half. Good puck up by the goalkeeper to Cillian O'Donovan, but O'Donovan under pressure is forced to go all the way back to his goalkeeper, and he's now putting Donal Maher under pressure. And Maher being pulled back by Robbie Cotter as he tried to make his escape. Just goes to show, though, the mindset of Blackrock. They're a man up and they're 6 points up as well, but they're still harassing and putting pressure on the goalkeeper, so he can't have an easy clearance. Niall Cashman going right across the field, but it's intercepted there by the evergreen Owen Cadigan. Cadigan still on the go. Still Cadigan from 14 yards. Shot from Cadigan into the side net.
Fair play to him. It was a great effort,
fantastic,
and I know,
run,
a great run. Fair play to him now. But again, he had no options. There's no one peeling off for a pass, and I know now they're under pressure and they're probably expending energy because they're a man down. But surely someone could have been coming on the shoulder to give him some bit of an option.
It would have been a huge score for Douglas to get if that went in, but would have given them the lift just on the water break. It would have been a big lift for them, because they're having to expend huge energy with the extra, being a man down, to stay in the game. So they're still only 2 scores down. You know what I mean? They're certainly not out of it by any means, but they need their big players now to stand up and as they come down the championship straight.
Yeah, well, as Owen Cadigan raced through there, I know, Shawnee, you were saying popping a pass off the shoulder, but there didn't seem to be anyone with their hands up offering either.
No, Colm, there wasn't. That's the point I'm making. No, it's easy to be here, sitting up in a nice cosy stand with the jacket on. It's freezing down there, and I know the conditions have deteriorated, and they're a man down and they have to work 15-20% harder to cover the space and all that, and they're down a man, so that's fair enough. But as Church said, you're coming down the stretch, it's championship, knockout stuff, and 15 to go. Surely someone could have burst the gun and given him an option. And in fairness to Alan Cadigan, he did his best. And again, I hate being critical, Colin, but I just thought the last puck out as well from Donal Maher to Cillian O'Donovan. It was real pressure cooker stuff. Put Cillian under ferocious pressure. Cillian then went back. Robbie Cotter nearly dispossessed him. I don't know, just some of this stuff just find mind-boggling, to be honest.
It's not easy though, Sean. I suppose looking from his point of view, if he goes long, he's walking up to an extra defender up here at this
and against the wind as well.
Against the wind as well, so he has to look at some different options, and it's
the goalkeepers union. You won't you won't better them,
He
Shawnee.
wasn't bad, but in fairness to him.
So 15 minutes are there remaining. The champions Blackrock leading Douglas 2 goals and 11 points to 11 points. And it's back with Gavin Connolly with a fine big puck out by him. And don't forget as well, it's Blackrock that have the numerical advantage following the sending off of Brian Hartnett just before half time as well. Mark O'Keefe getting the shot away, and Mark O'Keefe extending the Blackrock lead out to 7 points.
Yeah, he had the advantage as well from that. Cathal McAllister had his hand up for a high tackle by Owen Cadigan and Stephen Murphy, and had the luxury to go for it, knowing that if it didn't go well, it would be coming back for the free.
We're seeing Donal Maher getting decent enough distance into it, given that he is against the wind.
Problem for him, he's poking the ball into
yeah, and it's been returned with interest by the likes of Niall Cashman on this occasion, and great to see your wingback. He put in some shift in the first half, and rewarded there with the second, about I think 2 points he has tallied already. Again, the puck out going against Douglas, and it's Connolly forced to stretch back, lost his footing just at the crucial juncture. Mark Harrington there to the rescue, and now it's Mark O'Connor, but he's been caught by Connolly. Back out with Cashman again. That's Niall Cashman scored the point a few moments ago. Great little ball by Cashman in as far as Michael O'Halloran, and Michael O'Halloran pushing it out now to an 8-point game. Blackrock springing from the traps after that water break.
Yeah, one of the strengths in Alan Connolly's game that he has worked on big time is turning the ball, getting the ball back, or gaining the ball, getting the ball, and he turned a great turnover there that he had lost that ball, having the pass kind of gone behind him, and the ball back into Shane O'Keefe and a good score. And Blackrock now beginning to stretch it out from here.
Yeah, Stephen Murphy there getting the shot off, but right into Donald Maher. Conceded 2 this afternoon, but really had no chance on both occasions from Alan Connolly. Brian Turnbull getting the ball in towards Shane Kingston, but Kingston losing that one out, and it's Niall Cashman. Yet again, he's here, there and everywhere at the moment, bringing Alan Connolly back into it, and Connolly from the halfway line getting right under it. There's a race from Robbie Cotter trying to chase after that one, but it had gone out over the sideline. Blackrock bringing on a substitution. It's Alan O'Callaghan, and he's replacing Mark O'Keefe, the corner forward. So Alan O'Callaghan on for Mark O'Keefe. And a ripple of applause there from the Blackrock fans. With Mark O'Connor losing it, but the free being awarded for a chop. Mark himself standing over it. He's got Shane Kingston inside, running this way and that, looking for it. Gone in over Kingston's head, bringing in Hartnett on the edge of the square. He was trying to tap it down to Kingston. Daniel Hart out there. Eventually it's back with Kingston. Trying to walk the angle again, and from 45 yard has eventually got off the shot and eventually puts it over. It was a good effort by Kingston.
First score for play, good score there again under pressure from Blackrock defence from Conal Cormac, twisted and turned, but a good score. They're going to need a couple of goals coming at this stage if they want to get back into this game.
I think so. We don't know where they're going to come from. 2-12 to 14 points. Still up. Crucially, Douglas have the ball with Owen Dolan. He's again trying to find the new man Hartnett there on the edge of the square, but 2 Blackrock defenders back protecting. Oh, that was wonderful play to go backwards, and it's going to go right across the field there to Cotter, who's tracked well back there to help out. Nice on inside there. Looks to be the new man, Alan O'Callaghan, and Alan O'Callaghan just on the field a few moments ago to replace Mark O'Keefe, but has driven that one wide. Quick puck out by the goalkeeper again, as we said, trying to avoid that strong wind that's blowing down there. And there's a great ball out by Cadigan, bringing in Hartnett. It's Niall Hartnett. Line, of course, sent off just before half-time, in with Shane Kingston. Kingston now 14 yard out, still Kingston. Great block by the cornerback there, Jamie Ryan, as he was winding up to have a shot against Gavin Connolly.
That was Daniel Meany back in the full back line there. Cullen went all the way back to the full back line and got a great block in.
I'll give it to Daniel Meany at the other end. It's Michael O'Halloran who's after getting the free there. Two O'Keefe's swapping out. Stephen Murphy, number 8, being replaced by
that'll tell you the strength and depth they have. A couple of years ago, Kevin O'Keefe was one of their sharp shooters. Now he's coming on as a sub, so they have a good strong panel.
Strong panel, and running through the numbers now, and ball just breaking away there from the wing forward. That was Mark O'Connor, and it's gone out for a sideline over on that far side as we're entering the last 10 minutes of action here.
Yeah, Blackrock very comfortable on Cullen at this stage. Like the game is kind of having an extra man. All they have to do is keep for every two scores that Douglas get, they just need to keep that scoreboard ticking over. So they're very comfortable, and They're good players again. Have chipped in. Michael O'Halloran has chipped in with 3 points again today. Worked hard. He's a great leader of the forward line. Works very hard up there. A lot of his work goes unseen, and as you say, Blackrock with plenty of good subs to bring onto their squad. They're quite a very strong squad. They've built up a good squad over a number of years, and they're giving guys a game now at this stage. But they're very comfortable with the extra man in the back line.
Another substitute coming on there. It's number 30, Owen Smith. I think that's an injury enforced call, as we're just watching this play develop here on this far side. Yeah, Daniel Meany there getting the great ball in, but there's eventually a free being awarded surely, as the Blackrock player is brought to ground by about 3 players. No, the referee's going to throw the ball in, I'd say.
Interesting that Tyke DC hasn't come on, hasn't seen. They've brought on a couple of subs before Tyke at this stage, whether it's through injury or the yellow card that he got when he made his brief appearance.
John Cashman is the man that went off a few moments ago, and he's hobbling down here in front of us. Looks to be a bit of a leg injury, and Douglas have Joseph Hart lined up there on the sideline waiting to come in. Ball in there on top of Hartnett yet again.
And very much very difficult for the Douglas forward, Sean, inside there doing with an extra man in front of you. Like, it's not easy. Like,
not at all. I mean, the similar balls are going into the Blackrock full forward line, but it's man on man stuff with no extra man. And the likes of Shane O'Keefe and Alan Connolly, who are so strong aerially, it's a completely different contest. It's very frustrating. It's a very frustrating position now for a fella to be today for Douglas inside net full forward line.
Owen Dolan making way. Joseph Hart is the man that's on. We saw him warming up a few moments ago. Shane Kingston was trying to have a blaster there from the edge of the square, but Douglas still not giving up. Eventually Turnbull. Fair play, as Shawnee said. Not giving up the ghost, not giving up the fight. He was perfectly positioned as the ball bobbled around there right on the edge of the square, and he batted it in. 2-15 to 1 goal and 12. Ger said Douglas would need goals. Have they enough time?
Well, they've got one now at this stage. Now, like they've given themselves a chance at this stage to, if they can win the next couple of balls and keep in the game and get the next couple of scores, at least they've given themselves a chance.
Thankfully, the rain has passed here. As Killian O'Donovan launching that one in on top of Niall Hartnett again. Out there. Fullback, and great play there by Kingston, just to keep them honest, block the clearance. And it's gone back to Gavin Connolly.
Amazing Blackrock as well. They've gone away from finding the man from the puck out. Sean, you were saying that there seemed to be a tactic of theirs. They've extra men there.
Yeah.
They've gone back to it here now, rather than finding the man with the extra man, rather than going long all the time.
Yeah.
It was Niall Cashman that was the extra man that did the running there. Eventually the shot being taken out on that far side, but tailing off and tailing wide.
Just to mention it, Colin, in fairness to Brian Turnbull of the forwards, there's probably bigger names in that forward line. There's been the one forward in the second half for Douglas that's really taken the challenge to Blackrock. But he's on a goal and 2 points. And
clean pair of heels there by Shane Kingston. Still Kingston. That's Kingston trying to get the shot off. It was Hurley came back though and just clipped him as he was about to launch.
If you can see the replay again, what a hook by Daniel Meany. Never gave up the ghost. Shane Kingston, renowned for speed, went past him. Meany never gave up the ghost, never came in, waited and had plenty of patience, waited for the shot and got the hook in. Great defending from Daniel Meany.
Pointing out that nominally Daniel Meany is a wing forward, just goes to show that defence begins in attack. But as you said, Ger, he timed that to perfection, tracked him all the way back and just got in at the crucial juncture. Stephen Moylan dropping it in on top of Niall Harden yet again, breaking away. So with the centre back there, who's going to bring his goalkeeper Gavin Connolly back into it, Cathal Cormac out there towards Niall Cashman. He's got Jamie Ryan outside him, I think. Going short there on that far side. Blackrock looking to try and work the extra man. 2 players gone up for it, one of those, and it was well played, was Mark Howell, bringing to Moylan. Mark Harrington has a runner at pace alongside him, that's Connor Kingston. Douglas almost finding an extra gear as we're coming down the final stretch now. There's still Connor Kingston getting the shot off. just inches past the post. A huge credit to Kingston.
Again, they have to carry the ball through because they're outnumbered inside, and like hitting the ball in, all the Blackrock defender has to do is to break the ball away. And in fairness to Conor Kingston, went up the field and went for it, and that 1+1+1 Cadigan's one, like, you know, they've taken the game to Blackrock, and if any of the two of them went in, we've got a real game in our hands.
Oh, perfectly placed ball, perfectly positioned corner forward. That was Robbie Cotter, and wonderful play. I think it was that man Niall Cashman might have gotten the shot off, or was it Cathal Cormac? And Cotter, we were just watching him as the ball was dropping. He was backing a step further back, expecting it might come to him, and really he just had to turn around and slot it home.
Great play from him, yeah. Game set match at this stage, and you know, Robbie's been very busy all day. It's just a reward for effort and for vision and everything else. It's a fantastic finish. There's nothing taken off his left.
57 and a bit minutes elapsed, 3:15 to 1:12. Surely, as Shawnee said, game set match after that finish by Cotter. No more than he deserved, Ger, especially after he set up Alan Connolly for that second goal.
What's been very encouraging, obviously, guys, after catching two great balls in the edge of the square, and the first one gave off to Connolly for the pass, and that time he showed great composure, put the ball again on the ground into the net. Great finish from him. He's been really good today.
That's been very, very impressive, as says this man. Inside a goal, that's Alan Connolly. 2 goals this afternoon, and a host of points predominantly from frees.
I give a shout out to Colm. I think first Donegal Murphy has done well. Connolly in general play. You know, he's marked him very tightly. He doesn't give much away. I think he might have been lucky to be on the pitch at this stage, because I think the other referee and the umpires missed an instant early on, and they seem to be involved in another one there now again.
Things spilling over here with 58 minutes elapsed, getting very hot and very tetchy there. It's rutting season down in the National Park in Killarney. Well, it seems to be rutting season down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh at this moment in time, as a couple of big units coming together. I see Cathal McAllister trying to restore order in the middle of it there. Obviously, tensions running a little high from a Douglas perspective now, as their Premier Senior Hurling Championship season is drawing to a conclusion as they trail 3-15 to 1-12.
Just while you're sorting that out, Colm, yeah, good call from Ger. Another fan on the other side, I thought Conor O'Brien did well, even though he was complimentary on Brian Turnbull. He's on Brian Turnbull. I thought Conor O'Brien in the corner as well for Blackrock had a good game. And so, good defensive, really tight, tigerish type kind of defensive play displays from both Donegal and Conor O'Brien.
Douglas going in search of a goal again, but Gavin Connolly taking that all day long. I think the intention was to drop it a couple of yards shorter than that. Great first time ball down towards the goal scorer of a few moments ago. Still managed to keep it in play. It's back out with Cotter, and Cotter off the left has driven it wide. And while all of that was going on, another little incident developing about 45 yards out. Additional time of at least 2 minutes, and to be honest, the way things are starting to go here, you'd wonder would Cathal McAllister be as well off to blow it up as quickly as possible.
Well, if you're on the Blackrock line, you're definitely telling your fellas to cool it down, because the game is over and you don't want to get a fella getting a stupid red card at this stage.
Killian O'Donovan was expecting a heavy tackle and prepared himself duly for it, and he gives a little pat in the back there to John O'Sullivan for his efforts. Both back on the field. Spoke with Shane O'Keefe from midfield. That's a shot from 60 plus yards, and Shane O'Keefe has driven that one. Has he driven it over the bar? The roar of approval there from the Blackrock fans is the answer that you need as we come up in 61 minutes, and that's pushed it out to 3 goals and 16 points to 1-12. A minute or so remaining here. Alan Connolly trying to pull that one out. Eventually it's brought up, and it's in with another Blackrock substitute. That is the man wearing number 22, and that man is Kevin O'Keefe. And O'Keefe has driven that one wide into the last minute of time here. Quick puck out by the goalkeeper to Mark Harrington, the captain of this Douglas team, in on top of Niall Hartnett yet again. Hartnett's hand going up, but he's fighting a lone war inside there with 2 men on top of him. Niall Cashman worked ever so hard in the opening half. 2 points, I think, to his name this afternoon. Going in there towards Cotter. Great hand up by Cotter yet again to pull that one down. He's pulled down by a combination of two defenders. And it doesn't matter anymore because the referee has blown the full-time whistle. That's it. Blackrock, the county champions, progressed 3 goals and 16 points to 1 goal and 12. Well, lads, a game that had everything.
Yeah, really, really convincing win in the end for Blackrock. Obviously, the man sending off had a huge bearing on it, but a bit like we said against the Bars a couple of weeks ago, coming through the gears, getting their best form right at the right time. You know, a bit sluggish earlier on in the season, but very, very impressive today. All their key men stood up, and I suppose, you know, hate being critical, but I suppose the key men on the Douglas side didn't really step up to the level that Shane O'Keefe did and Robbie Cotter did, and particularly Alan Connolly. So, and then in defence, I suppose, I mentioned him earlier, Conor O'Brien and Niall Cashman was excellent throughout. John Cashman was good, Kyle Cormac. So, all in all, you know, every aspect of their play was, you know, tigerish. It was hard. They were taking the physical contacts and lapping them up, and then they were scoring. They started sluggish, all right. Up to the first water break, they were only mixed, but you know, when they got from minute 15 on, there was only going to be one winner, and Blackrock really put a big stamp on, you know, what they think their intent is for this year's championship.
The game turned, Colm, I think certainly quarter 2 there when the two incidents in close proximity where you had the goal that was certainly questionable with the tackle for Blackrock from Alan Connolly, and then the sending off by Brian Hartnett. I think that was really the turning point of the game. But as Shawnee said, like, we'll have to be impressed with Blackrock today. You know, all their forwards scored today, which is really a good sign. It's really impressive. They all got a couple of scores in it. But then the extra man, the comfort of having the extra man in the back line. They played their system. They played the 6 backs plus the plus one when they needed to do it. As you said, Douglas would have been disappointed early on. They had a couple of chances that if they got the scores, they could have been 5 or 6 up. When Blackrock were settling into the game, they didn't take them, and the game turned in that quarter 2. They went from 3 down to 2 up at half time. So Blackrock looking very dangerous. Not sure how the draw turns out now as to who they play in the semi-final because of the swap over. I think I'm not sure, but they're going to be looking very good. And they're going to be. It's going to take a good team to beat them.
The latest that we have heard in terms of the semi-final draw, I think there's actually going to be a meeting later this evening just to clarify what exactly is happening. I presume they just want to wait on the results and indeed the entire issue of avoiding repeat pairings, etc. But my understanding is that it will be officially announced this afternoon rather than us trying to second guess what's in store. Regrets, Douglas will have a few.
Yeah, they will. You know, they've been again. They've come through the group stages. Got to the quarterfinals similar to last year. Didn't play as well today as they've done. This was probably maybe one of their poorest performances. They never really got going. Shawnee said they're big players. You know, I think Shane Kingston got 1 or 2 points from play. Alan Cadigan, you know, worked hard out in the half hour time, but didn't get the scores. Brian Turnbull in the first half, when the scores were needed, was under a bit of pressure, but certainly improved in the second half and got a couple of great scores. But overall, you know, I think Blackrock's strength and depth, the subs that they were able to bring on, you know, they're county champions. They came through last year, won a great county championship, and they're now beginning to look really formidable. But Douglas will be disappointed. The 2 injuries before the game, losing Nathan Walsh and Diarmuid O'Mahony, wouldn't have helped their cause because their panel wouldn't be as strong as Blackrock, as you say. So they'll be disappointed. They'll be, you know, with their performance more so than anything else. They came within 5 points to Blackrock last year, but today, I say, you know, definitely the sending off that unfortunately for Brian Hartnett today, it was probably the crucial turning point in the game. But they'll be disappointed that they haven't advanced.
Okay, well, that is where we're going to have to wrap up this match's coverage, but not our coverage this afternoon, because we of course have the other quarter-final still to come. Glen Rovers against Enniskillen in the Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship, but that is where I'm going to have to depart, and keeping the seat hot and ready for Patrick Mulcahy, who's going to be joining us in about 10 minutes time. My thanks to Ger and to Shawnee for their help and assistance and guidance as always this afternoon. It's the champions Blackrock who march on into the last 4 of the county championship. Who they'll be playing, well, we'll have to wait for the meeting a little later tonight to give us all the details on that, and we'll also have to wait on the outcome of that next game, which is getting underway at 4 o'clock. So from all of us here to all of you at home, I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of this opening game, and just to remind you, second game coverage will be starting in about 15 minutes time. From me and the team here, goodbye and enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend.